All right, kids, here we go. Let me turn the music down here. It's just A bit. Maybe all the way. Yeah, how's it going, everybody? Let me look in the comments. Oh, excuse me. Hold on. Jesus. All right. Anara, Christina, look at you guys, my regulars. I'm going to have to do something special for you too. Do you know that? I got to make a note of that, but I am totally going to do that. Good morning, guys. Good morning. Oh. Oh. Thanks, baby. So I'm on the East Coast, so it is indeed morning still. It's moving into the top of the hour here. I try to come up a little bit earlier than 10 my time. Excuse me, has the energy been strange or what? Hi, replay watchers. Hey, crickets. Let me tell you a little bit about what's going on today. My name is Chrystine of Love Evolve Energy. Jesus, I don't even have all my little things. Where am I? It'll tell you who I am. So well, I'm going to put that up there. And I'm going to put that up there so people know who I am just a little bit. So what happens on Tuesdays, most Tuesdays, usually in the morning, we talk about doing home retreats. Now, when I say that, I am definitely talking about meditation. That's one of the things that I do. So if you haven't met me before, hi, how are you? Yeah, I have the lunettes on today. Pardon me again. When I introduce myself to people that you might call muggles, that I'm not sure about where they sit with all of the woo, I say I'm a counselor. And if they press a little bit harder, I say I'm a spiritual counselor. And hopefully they leave it at that. And if they don't, then I unpack it a little bit more. And I say that I'm a body worker, which I am, licensed massage therapist, a breath worker, which I am, and a yogi, and an energy worker. All of those things are true, certifications and all of those things. And if they want a little bit more, I may say, well, I'm an energy geek, I'm an energy medicine person, I'm an energy mechanic, which is a little bit more accurate, and scientist in a way, in a sense. And if it's you guys, I say hi. Chris of Love Evolve Energy coming at you, where we talk about all things energy because it's the foundation of all things that are manifest. Multi-dimensional energy channel is my jam. That's what I do. That's how I work with the world in terms of retreats, in terms of meditation teachings and guided meditations, one-on-one energy work sessions. That's the bulk of what I do, although I have quite a few retreats and classes coming up this summer. So that's what we're talking about, how to do some of these online retreats. And that's a little bit about who I am and how I'm coming at you today and these days in general. So Christina says, yeah, it's been wicked strange. Agreed, Nora. Yes. And so that which in you has not been aligned with the light will come up, will arise to then pass, will come to pass. It will come to pass. And so those are the times we're in. And a lot of strange, I felt energy with the shifts. I have a friend, I don't know if she'll show up today, who is going to be one of my guests during one of the summer retreats this summer. How exciting for all of us. For me, she'll be doing rituals and ceremony around some of our practices. but I don't want to say her name unless she shows up and gives me permission. So I'm just holding back a little bit there, holding back a little bit. Woo! On the bouncy ball. So today, what we do on Tuesdays, until further notice, is talk about what it might be like to do a home retreat. So we've come off a couple of years where that has been primarily what we're doing. I'm going to turn some of this music down, I think. And we are continuing to do that until further notice for many of us. The gift of having had the experience of quarantine and being homebound-ish, not always and not for everybody, but for many, is that we've really learned how to use the tech. I've always used it. I've always done retreats from home. So retreats on Zoom, retreats on other platforms. I've settled into offering my own retreats on Zoom. I think it offers the most privacy, protection of privacy for everybody involved. There's an ease with which people, once they get the brief hang of it, that can just show up and do it. There may be a slight learning curve for everybody to learn that platform, the pratfall, Whee! The platform. It's also easy when I do a retreat, I like to give people recordings, maybe of everything. It depends how personal we get. So that you can have them and practice with and relearn again and again. And sometimes I'll take chunks from retreats and turn them into an evergreen learning, so that you can purchase on my Podia site some of the retreats I've done in the past. So that being said, I'm going to promote just a little bit here, and then we're going to talk about needs and wants for sure. And of course, sacred space, because I touched on that last week and I want to continue with some of that as well. My promo was, hold on, let me collect. And I need clearly a little bit of water. Do you hear that thing in my throat? So let me do that. Excuse me. I think it's just going to be there, people. I think it might just be there. So in terms of some of the promo I wanted to say was that in terms of the retreats that are coming up, and if you look in the feed, the first one, it's a freebie. Thanks, Christina. Coughing up hairballs. I'm not even going to go on that line of joking because that's not the session today. You can see in the feed, not in the feed, but in the blurb, the first upcoming one will be on Saturday, the 16th of April. And that's a freebie. It happens not on Zoom. It happens on, although maybe we'll see what the interest is. And if some people really want to be on Zoom, I will accommodate because it's not a big deal. It will be on Facebook page, the Love Evolve Energy Facebook page. Ugsai, I know that's the way it's going to roll. So for all of you that are watching this and catching this on any of the YouTube channels, Evolve Within Love group or Love Evolve Energy group, or perhaps someplace else that's offering this, or ILC, Intuitive Lifestyles Consulting, know that in the feed, wherever you're catching this in a larger capacity, is the link to the Facebook thing. There ought to be. If there isn't, I'll make it happen, but just make a note that it's on April 16th. We're starting at 10 a.m. and I'll have to look at my notes. I believe we're only going, this is East Coast time, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. East Coast time. We may add a session, so have a little break there, and then do a session and go till about 8, 8:30, something like that. Maybe 9 o'clock, depending. Ah, you're welcome, sister. Oh, pollen bugs, pollen all the way. We've got trees right now here on the cod that is Cape. Mm. So I'm saying all this because I don't think for that retreat, although it could be helpful, and the retreat's coming up. I have one a month and a bigger one in July. That's a weekend long, but all the others are day longs. You can be a beginner. There's no real prerequisite, although there are recommendations. So let me talk about the recommendations a little bit and why they're there and how they're there. And then we'll get into the bulk of this and we'll talk about wants and needs and sacred space, et cetera, piggybacking on what we talked about last Tuesday. Mama, can I do that with these? No, I have too much going on up here to make that happen. Where are we? So I'm doing this, I'm holding, for some reason, I'm holding the recommendations. So in some of the retreats, I recommend checking out and having some skills in other retreats that I have offered that are now on Podia. I don't know what's happening here. I have something happening in the tube that is used, so I'll find out if that's a weird thing, and I'll exit out later, guys. Um, sorry, it's distracting me just a bit, but it's a good excuse for me to take some more water to clear the pollen from the throat area. Some of the recommendations are for skills in sensory clarity, concentration, equanimity, things that I will be offering in the future this summer, and things that I have on my Podia site. On the Podia site, I have clips from recordings of retreats I've done in the past, historically, so that you can take those clips, and some of them are an entire retreat. They're clips, meaning that the teachings are there and the exercises are there. However, some of the group chats are not there. Unless there were questions asked, I try to make that pretty simple and to protect retreatants' privacy. Retreatants' privacy. So that is not included in the Podia, although I have to say on retreats, some of the gifts and excitement is in the discussion where people come with questions and there's dialogue. It's super helpful, which is why some of my responses to those questions that happened in group dialogue, I've plucked out and I've added to the retreats. I have a sensory clarity retreat, others as well, but definitely a sensory clarity retreat on my Podia site. That is a recommendation to have some of those skills, or at least an awareness of what that is, because although it's not necessary, super helpful. Super helpful to have a sense of your sense gates on all different layers, levels, and dimensions. Helpful. Not not required. It's not a requirement, simply recommendation. Simply recommendation. Other recommendations are there as well. Perhaps, let me see. Yeah, I'm just going to do that because I don't know who that Salvatore is. Salvatore, if you want to write some more honest things, I'm I'm happy to respond to you, my friend. But until you do that, then I can't I can't engage with whatever that is. It looks like spam. I got some creepers on the tube that is you. So if you're on the tube that is you, let me go. Let me know what's going on there. So anyway, so that's what the recommendations are, and that is why when I do retreats, I make recordings of them so that they can service others who may not come across me for a couple of years now. Those people can use them to help their evolution, to help their growth, however they need to use them. So I enjoy doing that. It's a little bit extra work, but it's from my heart, and I don't mind that. It's also I have guides around that. Apparently, I'm just feeling that. I'm also feeling them pushing me forward right now. So let's get into the heart of this, shall we? Let me look at the feed a bit. Oh, great. Thanks, Christina. So, and Christina and Honora, if you could private message me, just so I can send you something special. I think that you can do that on this page here. I believe that you can. So, thanks, Mama. So let's talk about the aspect of doing a home retreat that's kind of the first thing, just to prepare. It's before you even begin preparing. It's you have an impulse. You have an impulse. You come across something that inspires you, something wells up from deep inside. You get a download or a dream or some kind of message in some other way. And you're deciding to do a quote unquote retreat. So when I say retreat, I simply mean designated time. In our time space reality, we work with hours and minutes and days. A specific amount of time set aside out of the normal flow of your life to hone in, to to practice an inward focus in some way, or a community focus in some way, or something. There'll be a theme. You'll have a calling in some way to pluck yourself out, to designate and carve out a chunk of time for concentrated focus on something, some aspect of yourself, some aspect of life, some skill, some joy you wish to focus on. I'm calling that decision a retreat. That's retreat time. So perhaps something has come to you in some way that I've mentioned that offers an impulse, an inspiration. And that's one way to begin to follow, to hunt, to look around for something that will support you to move through retreat time. Is that a want? Is that a need? What does that serve? What does that support? So it's a longer discussion to look at wants and needs, and philosophers had in infinitum moved through those discussions, and I don't feel a necessity to really unpack fully wants and needs, but it could be key to really look at things. And I say this because of my experience, and people who will come across this video may also have an experience with that. That if you go from a want I see as something more surface that is serving the egoic self. And I don't say that as a bad thing. I say that as a necessity to function, that it could be serving some need of comfort within the ego or growth within the egoic self. Um, And that moves into a need as well, a want, a desire, a craving. And I'm looking at something maybe deeper. There's nothing wrong with choosing and following that inspiration that serves that want. I used to carve out time when I lived in the Rockies to go to hot springs and designate a day or a weekend to soaking in the hot springs as a way to feel pleasure and nourish that those sense gates. And it touched many. So were those needs or wants? Maybe both. Depends how much chocolate I brought with me or things like that. So Ah, that's beautiful, the kite. Christina, do you mind if I post that up here? If I can share that on my video screen. That's really beautiful, Christina. So I may do that if I have your permission to do that. Because we're not in a reading or anything like that, I don't want to assume. Um, okay, babe, I don't want to assume. uh, because we're not doing energy work or readings. This is mostly just a PSA. Excuse me, PSA. So it's important to look at what's going to service your need or your want. A need could be healing a heartbreak, for example. Um, you got a dream that you were painting uh, in the Alps. Okay, maybe you're going to look for a painting retreat in the Alps, something like that. You want to look at the what's behind this, because within your wants and needs are what ultimately you will be looking for in terms of a retreat, but also, and perhaps more importantly, what you will ultimately receive through going through the process of retreat time. It informs what you will receive or perhaps not receive. So make sure that they line up. So if you have the dream about painting the Alps, perhaps there's this need within you to move into your creative expression through your emotional body where there is clean mountain air, that there's something about your lungs and breathing and creative expression that needs to have some flow and movement and expansiveness. So perhaps, maybe that is your interpretation of that dream time. Maybe it's not. Maybe you have something else about, I don't know, something else. So there are lots of different ways to find that expansiveness and flow through your creativity and your breathing, your inspiritus apparatus through your lived experience. There's a lot of different ways to do that. Does it have to be painting in the Alps? No. Can it be uh, finding a hill in your community with some crayons and a notepad and moving through it? Maybe. Could it be creative visualization workshop in the comfort of your own home? Maybe. There's something there, there's some gold to be found through moving through that process. So I'm using that as an example to inform you to pay attention, to pay attention. Perhaps you come across a retreat and there's something really juicy about it. Ooh, I really want to drink wine in Napa Valley and explore my clairgustance and really feel this bacchanalian expression through my body and that just feels connected to ancient ritual and rites of spring and summer. Perhaps you dig that deep with it, and perhaps that's right for you. Perhaps within your embodiment, there's some tightness around it. Maybe it harkens back to a time when there were some addiction tendencies and you want to move back into that addiction. But is that really what you need to evolve you and to move forward in your evolution in a timely way? I can't decide for you. However, what I'm encouraging you to do is to look a little bit deeper to what you're drawn to, what you're attracted to, what emerges as an intuition and a message, what somebody offers you. For example, there's a free retreat coming up with me that has to do with using paint and creativity as a way to channel and express energy in order to clear the cobwebs in your heart space, in your emotional body. Clear, open heart. Shamanic art will get you there, and we'll spend an entire day on the 16th moving through different techniques and experiments with these ways of energy work through a whole day, through a whole day. Perhaps that's for you right now. Perhaps that's really salient and present for you. Perhaps and perhaps not. If it is, the links are above or below, depending on what platform you're receiving this. That ties into what we talked in the inaugural session of this home retreat how-tos. What do you need to create that space for yourself, to create your container? What do you need to create a container for that to happen? For example, if you're joining us, you might need paint. What kind of paint? What's easy? Perhaps you want to work with crayons instead. That's your medium. What kind of paper? If you're working with acrylics, you might want a canvasy paper or canvas itself. There's lots of things to research. Perhaps you can't do that in your bedroom or your house. Perhaps you need to be outside. Perhaps you need to rent a space, go to an Airbnb. Perhaps it's in the back of your pickup. I don't know. And you drive to the beach and you do it all day long. How exciting is that? That would be super, super fun. So it has to be specific. You begin to create specific enough with some flexibility based on what your needs and wants are. You begin to choose and move into directions and begin seeking out what retreat will support you, or perhaps you have to cultivate your own. And what you can recruit and create in your space around you to support your needs and desires. So, those are two foundational basic things in terms of, and I spoke about them somewhat specifically and using some examples, and also pretty generally and basically. Uh, if I see something in the feed, or if you're here and I'll look at the feed in a minute, and you say your wants and needs, and begin to express how creating sacred space around that might be accomplished by those, and what kind of retreat space, retreat programs that you're looking for, something live, something you create yourself, something that somebody is offering that you can purchase and move with them through a process. It's maybe more helpful if people have questions about that, that I could respond to those questions, because I can get more specific with those questions rather than what's being created in my imagination here. So let me go into the feed and look a little bit about what's going on here, and then we can talk about other things. Okay, Honora. Okay, I'm bouncing around. Christina's about to do a little field trip, sounds like. Okay. Okay. Yes. Yes, Honora. She's talking about, she's an MADD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, if you don't know what that is. And she's doing a lot of creative writing in terms of poetry and poems. And so she's just responding in terms of that. I'm going to use that as an example, Honora, just to share with people in case something resonates with them. She may look at, do you know who Julia Cameron is? She did something called The Artist's Way. And what's the other one? I have her books over here. Maybe I should do an Artist's Way group. Gold, Vein of Gold, where she really talks about creative writing. It's not poetry specific, but if you are interested in healing your heart through poetry, which sounds like an awesome program. So, if Honora, if you want to get that together and offer it to people, please do it. Um, it's her practice these days. So, if you want support on that, if that is like you and you work with the numinous healing of the emotional body from traumatic experiences, and you use poetry, which is so beautiful. I recently met a poet who has these intense. I have a lot of friends who are male poets. Is that strange? Not a lot, but a few. Interesting. That may be something that you follow. Another thing could be to move into a retreat space in whichever way you find that with a notebook and say for these 48 hours, I am filling this notebook with poetry and just purge and let it flow out of you. In that case, find some touchstones of humans and physical activity, either body work, massage, or walking, or yoga, or dance, a best friend, a therapist to touch base with throughout the day, or at the end of a day, or at the beginning of each day, to have some touchstones there. Sometimes when we move deep into work, it's helpful to not fall too deep down the rabbit hole and to have some anchors in other time, space, reality places. For my belief is to go deep into your process and then begin to integrate it. And that may be a theme that we touch on as we move as we go on in the weeks here, where we talk about how to home retreat, um, how to not fall off the deep end. You create, or if you're purchasing a retreat, it is often created for you, ways to integrate your experience. Uh, Back in the day, I lived at a place called Kripalu. Now it's a center and not an ashram. And what we would do on the retreats there is have an experience and then talk about it. Have an experience and talk about it on retreats. And so that's an inbuilt structure in many retreats to create an integration process, to create a reflection process, to create a positive, loving, anchoring tether. to your embodied life as you live it when you leave retreat and go back into your lived experience. I think it's important. I tend to build those things into the retreats I do. A little bit more water here, and then we'll talk a little bit more, just a bit more. I hope what I'm offering here is helpful in terms of inspiring you to self care during this time uh, and to find ways to support yourself through retreat. Oh, great. Yes. Honora's talking a lot here in the feed. Ah, old wolf. Yeah. I can share this. Can I share this? I can share this generally. One of my practices is shamanic journey work, and I have guides there that are animal guides, and I won't say anything more specific right now. But one of the guides is a wolf, my primary actually. So I love that you said that. Oh, Nora, songs, yes, the bards. Okay, baby. Okay. So I think that's all that I wanted to do today. I tried to keep these lessons, these PSAs, on the shorter side so that we don't overwhelm us. Next week, I'll be up. In fact, next week, I think I might talk about some nitty gritties in terms of what will be coming up for that coming weekend. Next week, when I come up, it will be the Tuesday before the Love Evolve Energy Heal the Heart with Shamanic Art retreat that I'm offering. So I might speak a little bit more specifically and use that as an example to unpack that a little bit more. One, to help people who want to join me, but also so you can get a sense of what might be important to gather together for yourself if you're doing a home retreat that is hosted by somebody else. So that will be the theme next week. What do I need to bring to the table? What do we need? You need? What do they need? What do we need to bring to the table to support ourselves when we're doing a retreat that is organized and offered by a retreat leader, by somebody else that we are participating in? How can we support ourselves and what do we need to bring to the table, whether that person has offered a list of things or mentioned it or not? So that's what we'll be talking about next week. I'm excited about that. I will be up a couple of different places. Friday morning, I believe we have an energy session, which I wicked dig. Coming up. Oh, wait, I am so wrong. And cancel that. This coming Friday morning for my regular 10-ish East Coast time, Friday morning, we're going to be doing shamanic art. That's kind of the precursor. If you choose to do Saturday day long, Friday morning, we're going to do some basic skills for using crayons. I think last time I did work with something else. I'll tell you what I'm not sure. I want to say crayons, but I'm also feeling paint. But it doesn't matter. You work with whatever somebody worked with, some computer, her laptop, art creating images. You can totally do that. So that's again what we're going to be doing as a warm up to what happens on Saturday. So that's what we're doing Friday morning. Wicked! good. I'm into that. Sometimes with that, I will show you how I use color with markers. I have markers over here. You can see them. Uh, Pencils, crayons, craypa. I have some tempera crayons, which I adore. As I'm doing an energy reading, not always, but sometimes I do this. I used to do this a lot when I was in Light Shine Lab. I'll tell you about that in a minute. Doing energy healings as I color, as I draw, and clearings. So we may move into that. Last time we did this last month, I did do some of that, didn't I? Um, oh yeah, you can totally do a adult if you want to bring that with you. Definitely for Friday. Saturday, unless you are prepared to completely destroy it and paint or color over it, it's not going to be as helpful. We're doing different kinds of experiments on Saturday. Friday, definitely find inspiration and revivification to the image that an adult coloring book would bring to you with your pencils. I have some of those as well. I use that as a quieting tool at times, and it really focuses my mind. It kind of gives the monkey mind a banana to chew on with my pencils and my coloring book. And other things begin to wash through me. And I find inspiration there at times. Definitely, Nora, definitely. Okay, so that's what we'll be doing and talking about next Tuesday. I'll be prepping you for Friday and Saturday. Friday morning, we'll paint with whatever mediums you want to use. Saturday, we're going to be using, I think, liquid mediums. I think. But more about that next week, and that's what we'll talk about. Uh, yeah, so that's going to be fun. This coming Friday, I'm in the Light Shine Lab again. Woohoo! If you caught me in the Light Shine Lab 2 weeks ago, I'm there every other week. Every 2 weeks, I'm in the Light Shine Lab late night, if you're East Coast or further. Uh, I'm in the evenings on Friday nights there, and I do embodied divination. We do a lot of ecstatic dance as a way to clear your energy, but also your body is a divining rod. So we're going to tone it down. I did some dance there 2 weeks ago. We'll do a little bit of movement, but I'm going to do a few more energy readings and clearings this Friday night in the Light Shine Lab in terms of embodiment and really experiencing your body uh, as its own tool for evolution, energy clearing, and divination. So that's what's going to be happening in the Lightshine Lab. They've generously let me do a lot of different things with them. So we'll see how that goes. All right, guys. Paint it out, poetry it out, Honora. Go outside, soak your feet, baby. What? All right, I'll catch you all on the flip. Thank you so much for joining me. I need some other banners here, you guys. I'm looking through, and a lot of, I get a little hesitating about advertising, and so I don't do it probably enough. I probably don't do it enough, but I like to definitely say thank you as I move out. So I'm going to do that right now. All right, people. I'll see you Friday morning, if not before. You can always message me in the feed here. I really appreciate that. All right. Mwah. See you soon. Have a beautiful day. Ooh, that's not even going. Ooh, I was going to go out. Oh, it's because I'm still there. All right. Now we do it. All right. Love you guys. Bye.